Okay, awesome. We are recording now. So welcome to Team Break Free Canada's call. That's awesome. I'm glad to see everybody here tonight. We are talking about our Leader in Action formula. So this is, I put this in the group today because I realized it actually wasn't in the files. So if you need it and you want to follow along, you could just go and download it quickly right now or print it or whatever, but you should have this. And I'm going to explain the importance of it and how it can really get your business into momentum, and not only get it into momentum, but keep it in momentum, which is the really key important part. So, so I'm going to share my screen off and on a little bit. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. So can everybody see that and still see me? Can you just give your head a shake? Yeah, okay, awesome. So I can't see the chat when I'm sharing my screen. So maybe anybody that wants to jump in and answer if I miss a question, I could always try and catch it afterwards. So tonight we are going to talk about the Leader in Action, and we are also going to talk about the new BEA that was released in the US last week, and other products coming, and new Canadian products, which were coming soon. Okay, so the Leader Action in formula. Why is this important? Okay. I'm going to stop screen sharing for just a second. Okay, let me give it to you like this. Leader in Action is really important because any kind of brick and mortar business that you're going to do, you need to have, I'm talking financial sense, okay? I'm talking from a financial point of view. So let's use a restaurant as an example. Who isn't muted? Everybody's muted. That's really weird. But I can still hear somebody. How is that possible? Huh. Okay. Just make sure you're muted, guys. Everybody looks muted, which is weird. Anyways, okay. So let's use a restaurant as an example. Why is the Leader in Action important? In a restaurant, for example, you need to have labor costs, your staffing and labor costs. You need to have inventory. You need to have good food, and you need to have happy customers, right? So those are 4 basic categories in a brick and mortar restaurant that you know that everybody can relate to, that you need to have well. The importance of having all 4 of those categories work is that if you have one that's just off, your profit margins aren't going to be as big. So, for example, if you have great food, you're serving great food, you've got really good customers coming in, but maybe your staff and labor costs are really high, okay, and they're really cutting into your profit margins, your profit margins are going to be really low. So you still might be making an okay bottom line, but you're not going to be making as much as you could be. Right? Everybody agree so far? Right? Okay. Another example with the restaurant. Maybe you have really good food. Maybe you have really good customers. Maybe your staffing is good and you've got good, your labor costs are all under control, but maybe your inventory is really high because the price of shrimp or meat has skyrocketed, and now that's going to cut into your bottom line. So just having one category out of your categories is always going to make your bottom line smaller, and you want to try to keep all of those things balanced. So the same exact principle applies to the Leader in Action formula, if that makes any sense, okay? So when you're talking about balance, if you really want to keep momentum in your business, you really need to be looking at this formula every single day. Let me ask a question. Who's reading your reports? Like, is everybody here? You're all business builders, I know, except for there's 1 or 2 brand new people, which is fine. Are you going into your back office and at a minimum reading your blueprint, business blueprint every morning? It's okay to say no. Go ahead, type in the chat. Okay. If you're not, you need to change that. okay? You should be looking at that at a minimum every single day. That is the finances of what's going on behind your business. And with your business blueprint, it ties into your leader in action. It's going to tell you who's about to rank advance. It's going to tell you who's becoming a consultant or who's 2 enrollments away from a consultant. It's going to tell you how many people are close to getting their free vitamins. That's a lot for people in the beginning, right? You need to be on top of the financial side of your business. So if you're not running that report, please start looking that report every single day. And guys, I don't care if you have 1 person in your business or you have 200 people in your business. In the beginning, the report isn't going to change much on a day-to-day basis, but as your business grows, if you understand what you can get out of the report, all of that can be turned and used in your leader in action, okay? So you can look at your upcoming consultants who are only 1 or 2 people away, and you know those are the people that you're going to focus on in your leader in action report. Does that make sense? Okay, great, awesome. I really want to be able to see the chat when I can. I don't know if you guys can see that too though. Okay, so yeah, it's a good practice, right? Please start looking at the reports. So let's break this down a little bit, okay? So let's go, I'm gonna jump around a little bit on the slides here. I have done it in 2 different ways. I have done it for a consultant and a manager, and directors and executives and above, okay? And the only reason why I've done it a little bit differently is because directors and executives can actually run a report and they can actually see the report, where our consultants and managers at this point still can't see the you don't have access to those reports yet. Regardless, for some reason, us as leaders, we don't teach this at a lower level, and we should. And so that's why I really want to stress, I don't care if you're not a director or executive and you're only a consultant and a manager, you should start practicing this every day, because then when you get to director and executive, you are going to max out the pools and you're not going to leave any money laying on the table, because the reports in the leader in action, this company, guys, I get so fired up talking about the leader in action because this company gives us so much money. They put so much money on the table. And it's up to you if you want to take it or not. Do you want to leave money laying on the table? If someone's going to put $1,000 on the table and there's an opportunity for you to have it, would you not at least want to try? Right? So as a consultant and a manager, I want you to start understanding this. And some of this might or might not make sense. And so don't be afraid to reach out to myself or your coach after, and we can go through your own, each and every person's individual report out of your back office to help you with that. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. I'm going to give you one from a consultant and a manager and one from a director and an executive, okay, because they look a little bit different. So there's 4 categories, right? We've got our personal cycles, our personal enrollments, our personally ranked advancements, and the number of weeks active at this rank. Going back to the restaurant example, again, if you are keeping all 4 of these levels on par, you're not just going to be plugging through your business, it's going to be growing and growing every single month, okay? So you might be really good at enrollments. You might be banging out 20 enrollments a month, but maybe your personally enrolled aren't really good. And so this is actually going to show you what your strengths are also, and what your weaknesses are also, and where you can make that difference in your business. Because some people don't understand why their business isn't growing and they're enrolling 20 people a month. Well, that's because you probably don't have at least 1 in rank advancement every month, okay? So let's look at an active manager. So this is actually a manager in our team, okay? I didn't use people's names even though I have permission, but I didn't think that was important. So this is a active manager. And when you're a manager, your cycles are going to, if you go back to your leader in action report, at the top here, you've got the month and you've got your cycle benchmark, okay? So I'm gonna show you I'm gonna go through each column because these 3 are quite easy. The personal cycle growth is the one that's a little bit more complicated, but you're gonna put your weeks here. There's 4 weeks in most months. We have 3 or 4 months of the year where we have 5 weeks. And then you have your cycle benchmark here. So I'm going to show you right now as a consultant and a manager how to figure out what is that cycle benchmark. All you need to do is go into your back office, and at the top of your team page, okay, you go under My Team, you will see your BV summary for the last 4 weeks, plus the existing week right now. So we're in the week ending October 20th. So this person has cycled one time so far this week. The previous week, they didn't cycle anything. The previous week once, the previous week twice, the previous week twice. So this is an active manager who's you know, in pretty good momentum, okay? This is probably what most cycles will look like, working towards your 5-cycle bonus, okay? But what you want to do is take your last 4 weeks and figure out, it's 4 weeks in the month in October. So take your last 4 weeks. So not counting this week, they've cycled 2, 4, 5 times. So down here, you take your 5 cycles, divide by 4 weeks, and you have an average of 1.25 cycles. So your benchmark is 1 cycle a week. Okay, does everybody understand that? Simple math, right? Your last 4 weeks divided by how many cycles gives you your average, and then you always go down. Unless it's quite high, you would roll up to the next one. But in most cases, this would be your benchmark, which for us is great because they give us the benefit of the doubt and they lower it instead of raising it, okay? So that's for a consultant and a manager, because you can't run a report, okay? So that's what that looks like. So all you're gonna do is fill in your template. So for the consultants and for the managers, you're gonna put your month on the top in October. Your cycle benchmark would be 1 in this person's case, okay? And then you're gonna put your week, this is the week ending, this is the exact same as our commission week, okay? So the first week ended on October the 6th, which is Sunday. A commission week is always Monday morning till Sunday midnight, right? So you're gonna put in your commission weeks, the week ending, and then you're just gonna fill in as you go along what your cycles are, knowing that you have to do at least 1 cycle, okay? So going back to this person's report, October 6th, they cycled once. October 13th, they're 0, and the current week, they've still cycled only 1. So this may change. This may end up going to 2, okay? So your personal cycle growth can be a positive or a negative each week. You have 4 weeks to beat your benchmark, right? So if you get a 0 in this case in 1 week, that's okay, right? It's okay to have a 0. What's important is at the bottom of every single one of these columns, you never have a 0, okay? Really, really important, because as soon as you have a 0 in any one of these 4 columns, your total score will automatically be a 0. Okay, so it's really great to be able to track this on a week-to-week basis. I've got a board up here in my office, and I have my weeks, and I set out what my benchmark is gonna be. And then if you have a bad week, because maybe you got sick or you had family visiting for Thanksgiving and you had no time to do anything, you know, that's the great part about being able to be based on 4 weeks. You can have a bad week, but then I know next week I really wanna step it up to make up for that difference. So it really keeps you on track in your 4 weeks. So that's why it's important to look at this every single day. Okay, so far so good? Okay, awesome. Let me show you now a director, okay? So going back here to our personal growth, okay? Directors and executives, it's a little bit different for us because we can run a report, okay? So it makes it a little bit easier, but directors run on 4 weeks, and an executive runs on a 26-week schedule. I'm not gonna show you that because it's a little bit more confusing. So I'm just gonna say, we'll show you so I'm gonna show you, I ran a report of somebody who is a current director, and doing quite well. Okay, so this is the director leadership pool. So for if you are a director and above, you can go into your back office, and once you become that, you'll have more tabs that'll open up in the top of your back office where you can run these reports and you can run your leadership pool reports. So you can see here it calculates it for you. So it takes your last 4 weeks and it takes your cycles per week. So this person cycled 18 times, 16 times, 30 times. I can tell you that was a shake drop. See the difference in a shake drop week when someone really works? This is 19. So they averaged 83 cycles in those 4 weeks. Okay, divided by 4, they're averaging 20.75. So we go down. So their benchmark is going to be 20 a week. Okay, you can see it's all relative, right? For some of you, you're like, oh my God, 20 cycles per week, right? It's a lot. I remember hitting 2 cycles a week and being super excited, right? Celebrate your cycles. You'll get there, right? Okay, so don't let the numbers overwhelm you, but I wanted to show you how the report works. So this person's benchmark was 20. It also shows you what your benchmark looks like. So in this person's case, their first week of October, their benchmark was 20. They hit 24. So their cycle growth was actually over by 4. Great. Okay, they're doing really well. The next week, they hit 17. So our reports are always slow. They always take a week for the numbers to finally come in, but you can see this is going to be a -3 here. So their total, same thing. All you're going to do is plug it in. So for this person, October director, their benchmark is 20 cycles. Their first week, they hit 24. They hit 17 the second week. So they're at a +1, right? For the first week, -3 the second week means they're still in the +1. Okay, so in this person's case, they're probably not going to likely have a 0, but they're going to have a week where you can see being under by 3 cycles really has an impact on their total points on the bottom. So the next week, this person really wants to step up a little bit and try to make up for those extra cycles. Okay, so you see the difference so far between consultant and manager and director and executive? Makes sense so far? Okay, this is only your personal growth. So this is your cycle part. This is only your first column here, right? Okay, the rest of it is fairly easy. Again, if you need help, please reach out. I would love to help you figuring out what your benchmark is and projecting where you need to go. I'm a big goal setter. I love doing this kind of stuff. So the next column is your personal enrollments. And you always want to aim for 5, right? Why 5? Because you're going to get your free vitamins every single month. So that's a no-brainer, right? But you can only max it out at 5. So on your actual report here, you can only max out 5 enrollments per month. So the most you can get in this bottom box is 5. Again, you never want it to be at a 0 though, okay? So you might have 1, 1, 1, and a 0 and a 0, and you might only have 3 here, okay? That's okay, but always try to have at least 1 on this sheet, okay? So you always want to try to have at least none of these bottom boxes with the 0. Your personally in rank advancements, okay, you get based on points. So anytime you have your personally enrolled, okay, not someone in your PE town 2, 3, or 4. In other words, if you've enrolled somebody and they've enrolled somebody, the person below doesn't count. It's only the person you have personally enrolled. That goes for all of this in your leader in action. So if you rank advance someone to a consultant, you get a 1 point. If you rank someone to a manager, you get 2 points. Director 3, executives 4, and any executives that get a star added to their name, a 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, whatever, you get 4 points for that. Again, you want to do a minimum of at least 1 rank advancement a month, okay? You don't want this to be empty on the bottom, okay? You always want to go for at least a 1 here. And then the last thing is your weeks at whatever your current rank is, okay? For a consultant and manager, this isn't as important, but you should be an active consultant every single week, no matter what level you are, right? Which means you have one active person on each side of you. And for directors and executives, you must be active a minimum of 2 weeks to get paid in the pools. Okay, so again, it's kind of nice because they give you a grace period. So if you have week 1 and 2, you're away on vacation and your team isn't happy, or it's Christmas time or something's going on and you've got a couple of slow weeks, it's okay to have some zeros in there. But the last 2 weeks of the month, you might need to step it up and get at least, make sure you're active and be doing that with your team. Okay, so again, you don't want a zero. Okay, you guys getting this? No zeros on the bottom. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. And if you follow this, you guys, you're gonna get, I've had months where I've had zeros, okay, where I had 15 enrollments, my cycle growth was maybe 20 cycles, and I didn't get 1 rank advancement. My whole month in the pools means I don't make anything. Okay, so it really keeps you on track with where you're at. So, and setting your goals. So you need to be clear with what your goals are, and pick people, right? So on my office here, in my office, I've got my left side and my right team. I have my enrollments that I have an aim for every single month. I have who I want to rank advance into what level, right? And staying active for me at, you're going to get to a certain point where staying active is quite easy, okay? But once you hit manager, you're pretty much active all the time, right? So that's not usually a problem. And it's whatever your current rank is. So maybe you hit executive and you fall back down to director, that's fine, okay? You still need to be active as a director for whatever, for the 2 weeks of that month, or an executive for the 2 weeks of that month, okay? Does that make sense so far? Okay, now what does this total score mean? Going back to this at the very top, this is your formula, okay? Remember talking about the restaurant. If you're gonna find that you're naturally really good at 1 or 2 categories, and there's gonna be a category you're weak at. That's where you're gonna reach out to your coach and ask for help with that, okay? So you might be really good at rank advancing your team because you're really good at team building. You've been a manager your whole life. You're a really good people person. In the beginning, that's how I was. I poured everything I had into my team. I wanted my team to do well. I didn't focus on myself. So my personal enrollments weren't that great. Sandra had to rein me back and say, Christine, like, you need to balance that. Stop giving everything to your team, and you've got to focus on your enrollments a little bit. And I can tell you, when I changed that and I started giving this balance using this formula, everything just naturally went up, okay? This is the 4 equal areas that you need to keep your business in momentum. And you can see it's going to go up. So for example, if this is you as a manager, okay, you're averaging a cycle a week, okay, this is your goal. And if you're actually hitting this, okay, next month, this is going to go up to probably 2, right? And that's good. And then the next month, maybe it'll go to 3. It's going to keep you in momentum. Your cycles are going to get better. Your team is going to expand. Your personal enrollment, like, everything just organically will happen together if you're doing all 4 of these things, okay? On top of that, when you are an executive, this opens up the door to, I'm not even going to talk about it tonight, but it opens up the door to shares, to executive matches, to winning trips. You'll hear them talk about the Leader in Action all the time. And you can go into your back office and you can see the reports and who is working in Leader in Action right now, who is actually, in action and in momentum. There's the top 50, there's the top 100, there's, there's by country, there's globally, you can see all of these reports in your back office. We have quite a few people on our team on some of these reports, so it's really great. You know, having your goals, you guys, is really, really, really important. So using this is, even if you are a consultant and a manager, it doesn't matter. Get in the habit of it, because when you do, a lot of people wait until they take it seriously, until they get to the director pools. And then when they first hit the director pools, you're having to learn all of this at the same time as trying to get the cash bonuses. And most people end up missing the first month because they didn't really understand how this formula worked. If you know how the formula works, I promise you, you're not going to leave any money laying on the table. There is a lot of money that Isagenix puts on the table in the Leader in Action formula, and the trips, right? So there's the resorts going on right now. You know, there's the Leader in Action to Whistler in February. I mean, there's 3 or 4 trips a year, all based on the Leader in Action formula. Regardless of all that, if you're doing these and you're keeping your team on momentum, you're just going to get them anyway, right? It's going to be another bonus on top of another bonus. So I can't stress enough how important understanding and knowing this is, and start practicing it and start using it. Okay, you'll see where your strengths are, you'll see where your weaknesses are, and you'll learn how to balance that out. And in that turn, your team can only do nothing but grow and gain momentum. Okay, does anybody have any questions? It's kind of, I know it's kind of a lot of information, especially if you're seeing it for the very first time. And for those of you, I know there's a couple of new people, this is really not going to make sense to you, but your coach will help explain that to you. But the money that you can do by earning this, and this is just the basic foundation of financials and keeping your business in line. Okay, no questions? None? Does that mean everybody understood every single thing I just said? Wow. Okay. Well, either I explained it really, really well, or you guys are just all being really, really shy. I think you're all just being really shy, because I know it took me a while to understand the reports. Okay, so want to talk new products? Let's talk new products. Okay, on that note, I am going to stop recording because I'm